Hi, welcome to my video on building a DIY automatic dog waterer. This is going to be comprised using 2 buckets, also with a bunch of other things that you can just find easily at your local hardware store. Everything I found here, I found at Home Depot, as you can tell from the orange bucket. It's an orange monster bucket, 5-gallon. The only thing I did not find at Home Depot was the white bucket, which I had to get at their blue box competitor across the street. All of this, including a few additional items I needed but are not necessarily for this build exactly, came to less than $50 all total. What we're going to be doing is... the reason the white bucket was important and I had to get it separate is because it is food grade. Since it is going to be holding water that the animals will be drinking out of, it needed to be food grade safe. The orange monsters are not food grade safe, and I'd like to keep my dogs around for as long as I can. So the parts included, typical standard, less than $7 Fluid Master. A dishwasher water supply kit includes all of the couplings that we'll need. 1 extra 9-inch toilet water supply connector line. That's just to extend a little bit. And these were the 2 parts that I had to buy extra that I wanted to get for my own system. A split line so that I can still continue to use my hose even once the waterer is hooked up. And then, of course, just some spare seals and stuff, since I know that some of my lines are not completely all that watertight. Tools that will be used in this will be the Dremel, the drill, and a few drilling bits to make some holes in the buckets. The basic premise is that we'll take this white bucket, drill a hole in the bottom, which the toilet valve will sit in, and then drill a hole in the side of the orange bucket for the water supply to run into, and then the white bucket will sit in the orange bucket. We don't need to worry about sealing up the orange bucket because it will never have any water in it, and all of the water will remain inside the white bucket. Alright, so the first step is going to be to take off the handles. We don't want those. Last thing I need is the dogs grabbing those and using them to pull the buckets off to the sides and spilling the water everywhere. Okay, so we've got the sides cut off. No more handles, so now the dogs can't grab the handles and run off with the water buckets. Alright, so the next step is to put the flow valve into the bucket. This normally would go inside the guts of your toilet, but this is what's going to control the water for the waterer for the dogs. You could just probably put it right in the middle if you wanted it to. But then it would probably get knocked around by the dogs sticking their heads in there drinking and everything like that. Remember, the water line is going to be well down here below the head of this thing. So to give them the maximum amount of access to water, put it towards the back, but not completely up against the back where the flow valve or the float itself rubs up against the edge of the bucket, or this will not work. So I've just kind of set it in there and eyeballing a little bit. It looks like we're just a little bit off of the edge down there. So what I'll do now is turn over the bucket, drill a hole, and put this puppy in. off any burrs that happen on the wall here. It's nice and smooth. Help keep it watertight. And there we go. A nice hole in the bottom of the bucket. Now we're also going to do the same thing with the orange bucket, but not in the bottom. This time, we're going to go through the side. And it doesn't matter where in here we drill the hole. This is just simply for the supply line to come from outside into the bucket so that it can then go up into the bottom of this one. And you'll want to clean this one out too. Okay, so now we have our buckets with our holes in them. This is basically our base bucket. It's now time is currently done, so we'll just go ahead and set that aside. We're going to work with the water bucket itself and our flow valve here. And installation is just real easily. Just make sure that the nut is off of it. Okay, so you take the flow valve, insert it into the bottom of the bucket, and spin on the nut. And of course, you'll see this is another reason why you don't want it up against the edge of the bucket on the inside, because we need space for the nut here itself too. Tighten it down, not quite all the way. Need just a little bit of movement so you can make sure the positioning is correct. Almost there, I can feel it. Okay. And then turn the blow valve so that it's set correctly. And then go ahead and finish tightening it. Stop. Okay, well, if you saw at the end of that last clip there, I did exactly what I said not to do. And I got the flow valve a little too close to the edge of the bucket there. And so, of course, when I lifted it up and it didn't fall right back down, I knew I was in trouble. No, I did not cheat and go out and get a new bucket. Instead, I just simply loosened the nut on the bottom and then rotated the whole entire configuration around until I finally found an angle at which now the float will bob up and down freely without any issues whatsoever. Okay, so here we have our dishwasher supply line kit. A dual hose bib. This will be so that I can still continue to use the hose line or the spigot once I connect it up to the waterer, and then of course our toilet line hose connector. As you can see, I've got our supply bucket or our watering bucket upside down with the bottom of the flow valve sticking out of the bottom of it. From here on out, it's pretty much just an easy matter of simply assembling everything. A few things. First of all, you'll notice we will need this, and we will need this connector. This connector, we don't need. Get rid of that. And on the 90-degree elbow piece here, there's two pieces on the end here. One is the nut, and inside is a compression washer. Both of those, don't need those either. Throw those out. Alright, so now the first step in hooking all of this up is to connect the toilet supply line up to our flow valve. And since all of this stuff is just made to go together, just go ahead and hand tighten it. Okay, and then of course take the supply line, feed it into the orange bucket, and out through the hole. So I'm going to unwind the supply line. Now, on the part of the hose that's on the outside, take a washer. Oop, nope, don't need the washer there. Take your L-bend with the hose connector on it. Simply screw it on. This end will then eventually connect to our dual hose bib here once we have that connected to the spigot out back. On the inside, we now have to connect these two hoses together. That's where this elbow comes in place. One end is smaller than the other, so you can just easily screw that into one of the two hoses, doesn't matter which one. But for the other one, you'll need the adapter. Put the washer that comes with it into it, make it seated real nicely. And just screw it on there. And then take the supply line hose. Tighten it on there. Take the whole assembly, put the white bucket inside the orange bucket. There you go. Alright, so here's our automatic dog watering system fully assembled. There's our float valve in there. We can adjust it if we wanted to, up and down. I've got it highest up position so that way we can make sure as much water is in here as possible so that the dogs don't have to reach too far into it. I do have one short dog. I'm hoping this will still work for him. We'll have to wait and see. The bucket is inside the orange bucket. Okay, I did have to cheat in one spot. Okay, so the 9-inch hose that I bought was a little bit longer than I wanted, or than I anticipated, and when I put the whole thing together, it started to kink up a little bit and feel tight inside. So I did enlarge in the hole on the side, which allowed the whole coupling system to come right on through. So now I actually have the full 5-length fit of hose here that I can use to hook up the watering system to the spigot out back, which is the next step. So let's go check it out. Okay, so here we've got the watering bucket, flow valve in it, got the hose running out, finally got it attached up to the spigot. So next step, fill her up. And there it is, filling up. Looks a little uneven at the moment. That's because of the ground. I need to find a flat spot to put it in. But we're just trying this out for an experiment right now. Let's make sure that this works. And we're just about full. Let's see if this shuts off. And there it is. And the dogs can get in there, get some water, and after they drink enough, and it goes down, it'll fill back up. And that's my do-it-yourself dog watering setup.